Hi there, welcome to Just Painting for Fun. Today we're working on a study. We'll be using um, Matisse Structure acrylic paints. They're a little more, uh, they're a little thicker, a little more impasto than some other brands of acrylics in my opinion. I'm using linen panel. It's clear, it's coated with a clear coat of gesso. I could let the panel show through, just if I wanted to, because it is coated with the clear gesso, but I'm not really intending to use it that way. I just wanted the higher quality panel since I had it on hand. I'll be covering the entire thing with this style painting that I'm doing today, which is a little more impasto, a little thicker applied. Now there, I misplaced the fence post a little, so I just painted it a little wider and wiped it out on the on the side that it was too far over to the left and I wanted it more to the right. I'm spotting in some darks here and there just to um, get the canvas covered so I'm not staring at the blank canvas, and adding a little color in the background. Here I've thrown some titanium white on there. I'm working wet and wet a lot in this. So with the white paint on there, I just worked back into it with the little bit of blue added to some white. I'll be doing that off and on with several colors on this. Like right there with the green, I threw a little yellow into the blue and a little bit of white, and just painted it over what was still wet. I'm put a little more yellow into it and a little more white to do that hillside. Actually threw a little bit of green there into the sky. Added a little bit of red to it, I believe, to get the sort of a tannish color. Put that up there in the sky. Putting the under colors in the shadow colors there for the background color of the grass. Here I'm defining the tree line a little bit, um, using shadow colors to define where the individual trees are. A little bit of highlights, do the same thing. I put a little bit of red in. There's so much green in this landscape that a little bit of red helps to actually make it punches up the greens actually because of the contrast. Putting in some of the grassy highlights there. It won't necessarily be the final because I'm working in grass. I'll go back into it, do some darks again, and hit it with some more highlights. Now, if I was doing a real true study, I probably would just do that and leave it at that. But it's not quite the way I want it yet. So there I've added the color of the mid-ground trees. Have that sort of a fall foliage color going. So that's my under uh, my mid tone for those is that color right there. I'll be working back into that too. Graying down the background a little bit as we move back towards the horizon to push it back. Colors lose their intensity as they get further away from you. There's the atmosphere gets between you and the objects, and and just makes them get a little more gray, a little more bluish. Um, atmospheric perspective, that's called. There I go, going back over the highlight yellows, a little more mid color. Then I can go back in and add more grass texture in there. There we go. Hit them with a little more highlights. Doing the multiple layers there just adds texture since I'm working this one a little more thick. Working some of the cloud line a little bit. Defining the background areas. Add some more colors up there in the sky. I'm using reference photo more as just a reference for the image. I like to be a little more creative with the colors, not locked into what I'm seeing in the photo. I'm using it for an inspiration, not the buy all end all of what it's got to look like when it's done. That's why I call this just painting for fun. So we're not trying to, we're keeping in mind that it's not that that photo, it's not that place, it is a painting of that place. So when we're painting, we can just have fun with it and pick the colors we want. We're creating our own universe. That gray I made with Alizarin Crimson, the blue, some titanium white. I'm not using the zinc white at all in this painting. The Matisse doesn't, I don't have any Matisse zinc white, so I wanted to keep it all Matisse paint this time. So it's just titanium white this time. That, and I'm going more opaque, and zinc white is more of a glazing color. So it's a glazing white. Punching up the darks areas. Doing that with a green mixed with more blue, and probably have some alizarin crimson in the areas that look almost black. A little more detail in the grass area. More details in the trees. Starting to put in some of the darker bits of the tree cover over the mid tones. There's some greens in there too. We'll be putting some of that in. Sometimes you'll notice as you're working other areas of the painting that when you add highlights to certain areas, other areas don't look right anymore. So you need to go back into those and make a change. You can do that. That's one reason why I like to work the entire painting at the same time rather than work from one corner down, which is a perfectly acceptable way to do it. The problem is if you're doing that, then, like I said, if you get to a certain point where say you start up in the right corner or the left top corner and you're working all the way down to the right bottom corner, and you get halfway through and you've added the greens, and unless you're just trying to match that photo, it may not work with what you've put in up in the top. That green may be the only color, or the only place that that green occurs may be down the bottom, so your eye doesn't move around right. By working the entire canvas at the same time, you keep your eye, you keep your colors balanced and moving around the entire painting as you're working. Like you'll see me occasionally pop up into the sky or into the background, down into the, there I go down into the base again. Just working the whole thing at the same time. Now, I was hoping that if this was an oil painting, I'd be able to scratch a little bit of the paint out and make those fence lines. Not with an acrylic. It was just too dry, so it didn't work. So I had to paint them in. That one got a little wide, so going back in, painting out some of it. So highlights on the fence post. Now, you're seeing the actual reference photo there on the side. What I'm working from is a real poor quality printout because my printer is not exactly working well now. It's putting streaks in it, and even, no matter how many times I clean it. So I couldn't tell what this thing was. I knew there was an animal there of some sort. It looked like a horse or cow or something. Uh, After I painted it, I went back inside and looked at it, and it turns out it's a bull with its head down. So I had the general shape right and all that, but it just didn't really look great to me. So I knew I was going to be working back into that a little later. Um, I got the general position, the color was okay. It just needed a little bit of work. So, well, I fixed the bowl afterwards, and there it is. Much better now than it was. And that's a scan of the final painting. It's only an 8 by 10. There you can see the reference photo again. Thank you very much for watching.